Marketing in a estate agency is an oxymoron. Today, I'm joined by one of the most controversial people in UK estate agency, Russell Quirk. Russell, why is estate agency marketing an oxymoron? Talk to me.
Isn't it fun that the word oxymoron means a certain thing, but it has the word moron in it? So what I mean, I'm not saying that marketeers and estate agency are morons, by the way, but oxymoron basically means that, estate agency and marketing don't go together in the same sentence. They are the opposite of each other. And what I mean by that is that with very, very, very few exceptions, estate agents of all types of business, whether they're the one branch, 20 branch, independent, or whether they're big corporates, they do not know how to market themselves. And I don't mean their properties, because of course most people watching this will be saying, yeah, but we take pictures and stick them on Rightmove. They think that's marketing. I don't mean the properties, and we can talk about that aspect actually, if you want, in terms of buy-side marketing. What I'm talking about is marketing your brand to potential sellers and landlords. It just doesn't exist.
Well,
It doesn't happen.
most estate agents think their money they're spending on the portal should get them vendor leads, which again is an oxymoron in itself.
But that means that if there's 14 agents in Grantham High Street, you're all basically getting the same lead. So you're all going to jump on the same people, which obviously they don't do that, because we all know that 25% of Rightmove leads don't even get opened by the office manager or whoever. I'm talking about the process, the art of promoting your brand to consumers. Now, what is brand, I suppose? And I think, you've talked to Kirsty Franks about this, and I suspect she and I would agree on this. Brand is not your logo. It's not, the color of something. It is what you stand for. It's what you are seen as.
It's what people feel about you when you're mentioned.
So think about, what do we think about Tesla? We don't really need to think about what it is. We know it's an electric car that in the future will drive your kids to and from school while you're still in the bath, right? Or with Coca-Cola, we know that, talk about a fantastic marketing job. Coca-Cola have managed to associate a red and white can of soda with Christmas, for God's sake. Got nothing to do with Christmas, absolutely nothing, apart from the fact that there's a commonality around the colour.
But holidays are coming.
Yes.
The lorry with all the lights.
But the brand is there, right? So we have ended up as an industry, as estate agents, where we think, the portals do a lot of the heavy lifting by way of buyer leads and indeed seller leads. But where we also think that perhaps the kind of the utopia in terms of us sending a message to the world of potential sellers is by having a pie chart in our window that says that you as agent A have a slightly bigger market share than whoever the hell agent B, C, D and E are. You talked about this in the past, but it still needs to go into people's heads, I think. The public don't give a toss. They do not care. Now, you've got to do two things, I think, in terms of branding. First of all, you've got to make sure that you are one of the 3 or 4 that are asked in. So that means brand awareness, that means presence. But also the second thing is that you can actually then convert. Now, when I say convert, I mean convert that valuation into a listing, then ultimately hopefully sell the listing. And so to do that, obviously you need good people, right? So that's a kind of separate conversation in terms of how good your listers are. However, I would argue if you've got a really fantastic brand, let's say, and again, let's use the example of Savills or Foxtons, they are brands, right? They're brands that are really, really well known. Do we think it's easier for a Savills lister or a Foxtons lister to close a valuation into an instruction because they come from Foxtons or Savills? Yes. Right. Why? Because that brand has already done the heavy lifting. Everyone knows what Foxtons stands for. And let's be honest, what Foxtons stands for in the mind of the seller is they are big, they are credible, they're listed on the stock exchange, they've got loads of minis around, but they are definitely a bona fide business that is accountable. Right?
That's the thing. You'd be buying off them, would you?
Well, I don't know about that, but
they work for the seller,
but they have a reputation. Maybe less so now, although I think, the Foxtons mojo is back now in terms of, I would have said under John Hunt, sharp elbows, right? I would use that phrase. They've got sharp elbows. And I think that's good for sellers because sellers perceive therefore that Foxtons are going to sell the property over and above somebody else and importantly get a higher price, even though they charge a slightly higher fee, right? But that's brand, right?
But isn't it interesting that against their biggest competitor, they sell way fewer homes for every 100 houses they list compared to their biggest
Well,
competitor.
I mean, I don't know about that,
No,
but I do know that
that
Foxtons
shows
are now the
that-
largest estate agent in London.
But that shows for listings,
Yeah.
and probably number of sales. But in terms of percentage of homes that they list, they sell,
Yeah,
they are considerably lower compared to that.
I've got no idea.
And that's that's the thing. That's the power of brand.
Yeah, yeah, but for a successful seller, they would also say, yeah, they sold it, and maybe the previous agent couldn't, and they got me more money. Yeah, I paid 2.5%. But my point is that is because of the power of their brand. You already know that when you ask them in, right?
Yeah.
It precedes them. Savills the same, right? Savills are seen as upmarket, top notch, a little bit superior, shall we say? But that's a good thing in terms of you already know what you're going to get. So the importance of brand is that
this is not logo. This is not logo.
No. It's this perception thing. It's when I say Rightmove, you immediately think not just property, you think property search. That's what they do, right? When I say Ben and Jerry's, you know it's ice cream and it's of a decent quality. I mean, they're left-wing nutters, of course, Ben and Jerry, albeit owned by Unilever now. But anyway, let's leave that for another time. But you know what they stand for, and importantly, a brand that's been built conveys credibility and accountability, and that's really, really important. Whether you're buying a car from someone, or you're selling a house, or you're booking a very expensive holiday, you want to know you're not going to get let down, and if you do, there is some kind of redress.
Okay, you've told us that you need to build the mountain and to get up to the top. How do you do that?
Okay, well, so here's the thing. That takes a thing called patience. Now, brand building, and bearing in mind, in marketing, there's this direct response stuff, and then there's brand and
sales
often,
marketing, brand marketing.
Yes, so direct marketing is effectively putting up a Google advert or even a Facebook advert or wherever, to an extent doing a leaflet with a call to action. You're looking for something to happen fairly quickly, right? So you want someone to inquire and convert and so on. Brand building takes much longer. But if you build the brand, all the other stuff, the direct stuff, becomes much easier to convert. So the problem with building a brand, and this is the problem with our industry, is this thing called patience. Our industry has no patience. We expect to maybe turn, and again, most won't do this, but maybe turn a viewing that you've done into a valuation, because you happen to ask in the kitchen as you're doing the viewing, oh, by the way, have you got a house to sell? Yeah, we actually live 3 doors along, and it's a 2-bed, and we really want a 3-bed. Oh, right, is it on the market yet? No. Okay, right, let's convert that then into a valuation. We then expect that valuation to convert into a listing within a week or so. And if it doesn't, we forget that person completely. They don't go on a database. In most instances,
if they do go to the CRM, they get forgotten.
You got forgotten about, right? So in the US, and I know you and I have talked about this before, and I know I sound like a broken record, but
it's the truth, though.
The patience thing is really important, right? So if you're a neg or a lister or a branch manager, or you're Mr. Bartlett at Purple Bricks, or you're the CEO at Savills, whoever you are, right? If you're not in your job, your role for the long haul, or the medium to long haul, then you shouldn't be in it at all, because you're not going to change a business and increase traction within days and weeks. It's a long haul thing. So brand takes time, but the problem is we don't, as a sector, understand that, or rather we do understand it, but we can't be bothered, right? So you say to the typical 10 branch estate agency owner, look, you've got a non-existent brand. It's going to take a year to put you on the radar, right? And that, to your question, how do you do that? Is,
I would say, even longer sometimes.
Maybe, but it's a truly holistic thing, right? So it isn't just PR, for instance, and it definitely isn't just Google ads, and it isn't just branded minis or your window display that you change every 4 or 5 months, depending on what's happening in the world, you know, Christmas, Halloween, or whatever, all that lovely stuff. It's doing all of it, right? And so you've got to invest time and effort in it, and I'm afraid money. When you look at what our industry spends on brand compared to, let's say, the food industry, the car sector, you know, the travel industry, and so on, it's tiny. It's tiny. We don't really give it the credibility that we should in terms of us investing in it, because we have got this short-term view about brand itself, but even down to how leads should convert. So I think we need to change our mindset. We need to understand that you've got to do 3 or 4 things really well to build brand. It's going to take time, and it's going to take money and effort. And of course, I would say this, PR obviously is a very important part of it, because PR is something that is somebody else talking about your brand not just a Google ad or a bus stop ad or a mini with, come to us with the best estate agent in, Toxteth High Street, whatever it might be. So that, but I suspect most people, Chris, listening to this would go, yeah, whatever. I just won't do it. They just won't do it. So thinking about next week in terms of converting valuations into listings, rather than say, well, actually, if we did something on social media or through PR or through Google ads even, where we were just giving out advice and information in a nice email newsletter.
Talk about house prices,
House prices in the local area. This is how Cambridge is comparing to the UK national average in terms of the rise in house prices, or, pounds per square foot in Cambridge is much, much, much better value than Oxford, whatever those things are. Doing all that, but so that you nurture and build relationships with all of that data that you've got. That's how you get that 1 in 8 that you mentioned to change, because then people think, A, they've kept in touch, they're now front of mind, Watkin estate agents, but also they really seem to know their stuff. They're always telling me about the latest buy-to-let rate, always telling me about what's happening, and the government have just changed this and the other. Stamp duty is going to change in March.
Let me give you some stats that back that up. 36% of 10,000 homeowners on the market surveyed said they chose their estate agent based on the agent's local property market knowledge.
There you go. Not on fee. Not on fee. Yeah. So I feel pretty passionately about brand being built. I'd like to think that what James and I have done in the PR business, we've built a brand, right? It was a brand new thing. We had to change the name 2 years in, another story, because there was another proper gander PR. But anyway, so we've now built a brand, using various different channels and means, and advanced our personal brand in order to attract people as leads and inquiries, but also to show that we are a bona fide, trusted, credible thing, which means now that you know who we are, it's safe to do business with us on the basis that we're accountable.
Thank you for your time today, Russell.